dear experts gathering here today. Thank you very much for attending this international seminar on UN-IGIF in South America, where we'll be discussing different topics related to UN-IGIF implementation in this region. So specifically for this session, we'll be discussing UN-IGIF Sustainable Funding Guide. How can we sustainably finance UN-IGIF? The content of this presentation is reflecting the recently launched UN-IGIF Sustainable Funding Guide, which is a practical guide for member states on funding of sources, budget, cost benefits analysis, and evaluation methods. So me who is presenting today, I'm Maurice Muneza. I'm from UN-GGKIC, which I'm going later to present what is it about. So the presentation today is going to cover mainly what is the available funding sources according to the guide. How now, if you know where funding sources are, how now can you make a budget and investment? How can you estimate cost and the benefits? And how can you now make economic case? How can you elaborate a good economic case for the Ministry of Finance, for your partners, to tell them that they need to invest in geospatial information management, but also I will finish to show exactly how now we can go and implement this guidance. So quickly, by starting, I would like to present quickly my institution, which is UN-IGIF that I'm representing today, but also which is a center established by UN in China with the mandate of developing and promoting the required knowledge, innovation, and leadership to strengthen the adoption of geospatial information in order to support the implementation of national development priority and the SDG by leveraging the UN-IGIF that we'll be talking today. So our center is based in China, as I mentioned, and we are mainly having 5 strategic objectives, which are through three priorities, which is empowering member states in terms of capacity building and in implementing geospatial knowledge, implementing the UN-IGIF, and promoting knowledge and innovation required for the UN-IGIF implementation. So mainly it's about capacity and the capability building for member states. So now we'll be talking about UN-IGIF, that we are discussing about how it can sustainably be financed. But what is UN-IGIF in general? I'm sure that it's not your first time to hear about this, but I'm saying let's just come back on it so that we can quickly grasp the idea of what is UN-IGIF. So UN-IGIF is United Nations Integrated Geospatial Information Framework, which is a comprehensive guidance from member states on developing and strengthening geospatial information management and related infrastructure in order to drive sustainable development. It is a framework which was adopted in 2018 by the UN-GGIM Committee of Experts. And from that time, different member states have started implementing and use it so that can guide in coordination and strengthening geospatial strategy, how they can integrate and share geospatial information, and for decision making, also how they can use geospatial information to support SDG and national goals. However, even if it's a very important framework which is guiding geospatial information management for national priority and SDG implementation, it is having a funding challenge. Many member states realize the question that we are starting, but we don't get sustainably financed, and we get short in the middle because they're having some challenges. One of them is competing priorities. different government, they are not taking geospatial information as something at its level, because they are busy funding something else. Government have different priority, health, infrastructure, and they don't. Geospatial funding competes with other government expenditure across all sector. There's also a lack of awareness, where UN-IGIF linkage to SDG are not well understood by some donor organization and some government, but also the time limit supports. You are starting, you have a small funding, and then in the middle of implementation of your GIF, in the middle of implementation, your SDI, and then the funding is no longer there, which means that the project is stalling. There's also a lack of economic justification when you go to your minister, to your donors, in order to defend the investment required, so that we can exactly explain to them, if we invest in geospatial information, this is what we are getting in terms of economic, in terms of social benefits, in terms of all those kind of benefits that we need to put on table, so that they can give you the required funding. So it's no longer a question of understanding. Member states, they understand very well why geospatial information, why UN-IGIF implementation is very important. It's needed in terms of climate adaptation planning, SDG, disaster, urban infrastructure, agriculture, because geospatial information is needed in planning and national priorities everywhere in socioeconomic. But the big problem is having is that they cannot finance it sustainably. They don't know exactly, or it's a little difficult for them to know how much will it cost, what is the return on investment, how can we partner together so that we work together, how to sustain long-term engagement that way, and sustainability model. Which is why from those questions, those challenges, the UN-IGIF Sustainable Funding Guide was elaborated, so that it created a bridge between the importance of geospatial information and how now they can be linked economically for their implementation. So it is a guide which is now is providing answers to different questions that were asked before, but was difficult to directly explain them to finance minister, because if you are going to look for a funding or a budget in the ministry, they will ask you the first question: how much will it cost if you want to put SDI in place? What is the return on investment if a ministry is going to give you this amount of money that was supposed maybe to go for infrastructure or for social? What is going to be the return on investment on investing in SDI, in social, in geospatial information? But also, who will partner with us, and how do we ensure long-term sustainability? Because we are giving it to you now, but how is it going to be sustainable in 10 years? So this is a kind of question that we were asking before, and now the guide is providing quick answers. Now, from the guide, you can look exactly and see kind of solution that are being provided by this guide in order to answer quickly on those questions. So this sustainable funding guide that I'm talking about, it's now has 5 chapters. First of all, it was produced by the high-level group. It was commended by the high-level group on IGIF and financed by Kingdom Saudi Arabia, so that we can have this very important document, and it will be divided into 5. It's divided into 5 chapters, where the first one is about what is the variable funding source, but how now can you do the cost and the benefits, and then how now we can be guided in order to elaborate the benefits of investing in geospatial information. So it was launched officially in January. We are doing a webinar, and I think many of you, especially Latin America, participated in this very important webinar. And then from the launching, it's now an official document that member state can use in order to elaborate sustainable financing for geospatial information and UN-IGIF implementation. So after the launching now, it was given for GGKIC, which I'm representing today, so that now it can be started used by member states. So looking at the sustainable funding guide, we are seeing that there are different sources of finance that member state can look at it at the best. Everything is starting at home. You need to see first what is internal availability of funding. Sometimes there are government budget, which can be at central, regional, local level, depending on how that structure is. But remember that, as I mentioned before, in most cases, it will be compete with other programs because the government has a lot of other planning in place that need budgeting. So you need to make sure that you are having a strong economic case so that the government can prioritize your finance. There's also a user charge and fees, which is now a fee that agencies can charge for data and service. During the launching, we got one example from Turkey, exactly how they are charging fees and how the fees which are being charged are now financing the geospatial information. We got also in a case from Rwanda, where they elaborated the land administration system, and now the money which is being generated from there are now funding geospatial information. You can also have state-owned enterprise, which the guide also is providing another internal source of funding. There's also external funding. The previous one was about the internal. Now there's external funding, which sometimes is coming from UN organization, multilateral development banks, official development assistance, the NGO, and partnership, which, as you know, you need also to go and convince them that we need to put this one in place. This is the benefit. This is how it is aligned to your objective, and then so that we can access to their finance. Mainly some UN agencies, they used to be much in financing geospatial information. UNDP, Statistic Division, we are presenting today, UN-Habitat, WFP, FAO, they can have some support, which can be also a very important while you are looking for funding opportunity. I talked also about development bank and official development assistance. We are talking about multilateral development banks. We were talking about World Bank, Africa Development Bank, Inter-America Development Bank, Caribbean Development Bank, which even if at some time they are not financing directly geospatial information, but some of the priority they are financing, let's say climate change, let's say infrastructure, they requires to have geospatial information for monitoring and the implementation, which at some point they are directly linked to geospatial information. You can have this kind of look, and actually now we are in talk with some of them to see exactly how they can clear their financing geospatial information. Also, I mentioned official development assistance, which the guide also is providing as another external source of funding. There's also some partnership and NGO funding, which again is, as I mentioned, is another source of funding. You know very well some SDG Data Alliance, which founded different country level action plan, and that is Korea also. There's also within the government, intelligence CMU for cost sharing. There is public-private partnership that the guide is providing also as another source of funding, but also the cost sharing and matching ratio. So all of these type of external finance, you can find them in the guiding and how you can use them for when you are developing your investment case for geospatial information. So, but the guide also is telling one important element, that no single fund source is sufficient. You will never rely only on domestic budget or development bank or other. You need to combine all of them depending on a different aspect of your project. Operating cost and current expertise, because the government may give you some money every year. Development bank, capital investment infrastructure, some donors, they are much interested in capacity building and technical assistance. And some partnership and PP, they can co-finance and data sharing and user fee revenue for sustainable ongoing operation income. So depending on component of your project, you can find an appropriate funding from that end. So you know now how to get to funding internally, externally, and with donors. But now, how can you now budget? How can you estimate the cost? How can you identify benefits, and how can you align the funding according to the donor? This is the chapter 3, which is providing different cost items, especially in terms of if you are putting in place SDR, you need capital cost, operating cost, and policy regulation. You will need hardware. You will, of course, need salary. You will need some policy development. Those are the type of component, and the guide is providing exactly what can you do in terms of costing them so that it can be they can be done very well, but also they can respond to some funding needs. So you need also to provide benefits for the government. As I mentioned, you don't go to the Ministry of Finance, tell them we need money. But what is going to be the benefits for the government? Is there going to be saving or from type of saving for data time and saving? Are we going to do land management? I give you the example of Rwanda, which is invested in the land administration, and they are getting a lot of benefits, a lot of tax, which are now sustaining the system. We are also disaster response. We're going to invest in geospatial information. What's going to be the benefits for the disaster response in terms of access to data when needed? Environmental monitoring, tax efficiency, digital government, health service, all these kind of benefits for the government. The guide is providing how you can talk to them clearly so that you can convince the government that this investment in geospatial information is going to return a different benefit for the government. The same as the benefit for the economy also, we know agriculture is something which is being improved on quickly now. We need precision farming, which are depending also on geospatial information. So invest in geospatial information will improve agriculture in this way. We know mining, transport and logistics, blue economy with environment and commerce. This is the kind of things that the guide is providing, how you can defend them and put them in your project so that the Ministry of Finance and other partner can finance you easily. We are talking also the benefits for the society. What is going to be the benefits for the society if we invest in geospatial information? Access to map and location, route optimization, greater inclusivity, innovation and opportunity, those kind of benefits that really you need to put in place so that when you invest in geospatial information. So the guide is providing you a clear guidance on how to do this one. And you need also, as I mentioned before, to align investment and funding sources. We've seen that some funding sources are not there for a long time. They might be there every year. They might just be there quickly for 1 month or 6 months or 1 year. So you need to know exactly which component of your project and which available funding sources that you can align to. So the guide again is providing this type of guidance, for example, the natural capital investment, where you have to look at for data acquisition and upgrade, where you have to look at the capacity building and maintenance, which type of funding source that we can prioritize in this situation. Now, when you are doing this, you need to do also what you call CBA, cost benefit analysis, which is again making the economic case for your special investment. That guide is providing 80 steps that you can use for this cost benefit analysis, from defining objective, identify cost and benefits, assess economic performance, analyze risk and sensitivity, and all of these steps that you from step 1 to step 8, so that you can now do the cost benefits analysis very well in a very professional way. So the guide is providing all this guidance and how this can be done in order to defend the importance of geospatial investing in geospatial information. And then there is what you call net present value and benefits cost ratio. So when you go to the Ministry of Finance or some partner, you need to show them, if we invest $1, what is going to be the benefit cost ratio, what are we going to gain, how many times $1 is going to bring, $1 is going to bring back. And the guide is providing how to calculate this, and is providing also clear word result from UN-IGIF assessment, where in Georgia, the BCR is 3.3, the Moldova 3.9, and is providing also the hypothetical 2.9, which also can be returned as investment in $1. So the guide is providing how you can do this one, where you are elaborating your project. Is chapter 5 also is now valuing benefits and the cost, because it can deliver market and no market benefits. So all of those kind of things, you need to put them together so that your investment case, your project can now be financed sustainably. So there is also the guide is providing direct societal impacts, which also you need to take into consideration when you are elaborating your case. So what is the direct impact and what is the social environment when you're investing in geospatial information? So in few, it is a very important document which we really advise member states to have a look at and try to use it very well by following all the process which they are. But the main recommendation is don't think that one source is enough. As I mentioned, adopt a blitz strategy, build the business case using the 8 methodology, engage strategic partners because you know them very well where they are in your country, align your investment to national priority, and prioritize quick wins because all the steps or the project components are not going to bring wins at the same time, and plan for sustainability. This is what the guide is here for, to guide you through this process so that you can elaborate and invest sustainably in UN-IGIF implementation. So by closing is following the guide, we've seen that it's possible that you can use the guide and elaborate a project, talk to the Minister of Finance about the economic case of investing in geospatial information in UN-IGIF implementation, how you can align proposal to national priorities, and when and at what time you should engage the Minister of Finance and strategic partner. And we are now in the process of elaborating different templates so that all this information, because the guide is more or less general, how now they can be implemented in your local context in your country, because the partner that we are having in Argentina, they are not the same as what we are having in Chile. The same challenges or strategic priorities that you're having there is not the same here. So we are now elaborating a country fact sheet that we want every country to sit down and go through the fact sheet, bring it to the sustainable funding guide so that they can now know exactly what to do with who and when and how to estimate this cost. It's something that we discussed together in other session. So thank you very much for following this. I was given 15 minutes, I think now I'm even more. And you can get more resources for this presentation, and you can see exactly how this can be done. So I thank you very much. And again, we are here to support you. If you need any help, don't hesitate to send an email or to come to me so that we can discuss exactly how we can implement this. Thank you very much. Thank you.